Hey, my name is Daniel. I'm a product marketing manager in the IT and technology industry, and I give Userpilot a 4 out of 5. So when we were looking at Userpilot, we considered Pendo, and we also considered building something ourselves. Ultimately, doing a user onboarding that was flexible and able to segment between different types of users would have been a monumental project beyond the scope of what we could have done ourselves. We also thought about Pendo, and we looked into them, and we felt that Pendo was a slightly broad and not as deep in the experience it was able to give. They did analytics and they did user onboarding. And while they may have been pretty good at them both, we felt we could get best in class user onboarding with Userpilot and best in class analytics through another tool like Amplitude or Mixpanel. So ultimately, that's what we decided to do. And we did evaluate Pendo before choosing Userpilot. There were a few reasons we chose Userpilot. The first was actually we thought the sales experience was phenomenal. The person who led us through the sales process was really knowledgeable in their area, and they were less focused, we felt, on sales tactics or a certain sales process, like their counterpart was at Pendo, but more focused on us and the usability and just kind of like active brainstorming around what we needed. Second was that the actual customizability of the tool itself really blew us away. Just the ability to make it have the look and the feel of your own app, to be able to segment out the experience by different users and track those results. We just totally loved it, and it just seemed like a very simple, straightforward, purpose-built tool for user onboarding without a bunch of other things going on. So when we onboarded Userpilot, we actually did it through Segment. And Segment is another piece of third-party software that, where you can install the snippets for those different action points that you want to monitor or where you want to trigger those, user onboarding experiences. And it then feeds it into one central place, which you can push it out to different apps. So actually onboarding Userpilot itself was as simple as pressing a button in Segment to then push data into Userpilot. And then from there, just to start building out the different user experiences and the guides that we wanted to kind of send them from one scene to the next. Now, of course, getting in that code into segments so that we could push it into Userpilot, that was a bit of a different story. But again, that's something that's more foundational that you're probably either way going to want to set up so that you can push data into a variety of systems. So Userpilot itself was literally, one button click. So if you're looking at Userpilot or evaluating that, I would certainly evaluate some of the alternatives that are out there. I think there's some other interesting companies like AppQs and Pendo. I would also consider when a company, let's say like Pendo, tells you, hey, like this is the best, and you're going to get all this range of analytics and user onboarding and things like that. Just look at what other specialized tools you can use. For example, Mixpanel or Amplitude that just specifically do those pieces of the puzzle, and you may be able to combine like best of class tools, which in our case we felt was Userpilot, Mixpanel, and then them both getting data from Segment. And that actually ended up being roughly the same cost as getting one tool like Pendo, but we felt we got a lot more value out of those best-in-class tools. So that's something that I would consider. I felt Userpilot in using it was still slightly rough around the edges. I think they're a young company. I do think they're improving their product fast. They take feedback that you give them. So if you do come across like a little bug or something that just doesn't seem right, it doesn't mean you get it fixed right away, but they definitely seem young enough and flexible enough that they're listening to any issues that come up. But again, it might not be as refined as some larger company with maybe a lot more time and effort behind building out like this huge product.